Hello everyone, welcome to Stitch the Light tutorial. We will teach you how to do multiple hooping using several pieces of designs, or you can use any designs actually to combine and make one large design. Let's get started. We will be using transparencies. This is inkjet transparencies. We will give you a link below where you can purchase. These are just clear. They are rough on the one side, so your ink will go on the rough side. And it just makes placement a lot easier than printing on paper. So you can see we've printed the templates that's included in your zip file onto the transparencies. Some of the designs you will need to join. There is a registration marks that you can line up to join the templates if they print on more than one page. Now remember, this works for any designs you have. Say you have a dog and you have a tree and you have some grass and you want to combine those. Simply print your templates and follow the same instructions to stitch your designs where you want them. There you can see the registration marks, so just line them up and tape them together. As you can see, we have about 7 designs that we're going to build to form this very large design. And I've also printed a template of the complete so that I can see the placement where every piece goes. I'm using a cutaway stabilizer and I'm using this cotton fabric, and I've just marked a center line for myself, which we will use to assist us in lining up the pieces. The piece of fabric you will cut the size that your finished project will be. And then you can just place all your pieces together to form your design that you want, because we want to, the overall design we want in the center. So I'm going to use all my transparencies and place them correctly. As they shine through, it's very easy now to do the placements and to line them up. And you don't need to be specifically very perfect now at this stage. Like I said, this is just so that you can see where you want the design on the fabric. Once you have them all together, you can just move it over and see, okay, where your whole design is, so that it's centered on your block. And then we're going to start with the biggest section you have. For the specific design, we will have in the instructions for you the sequence we recommend you stitch it in. We're going to start with this design that says erasure, and I'm just going to hold it there in place. And I'm using my ruler with the center lines that I've marked on my fabric in the beginning. And I'm just making sure that my guide, or the center of my design, is perpendicular to the lines that I drew on my fabric. This is to ensure that your design is absolutely straight. If you start correctly, the rest is easy. So you can see I'm making sure that the center line of my design is the same width from the top and the bottom. And then I'll tape down my transparency. I'm just marking on my fabric where the center lines are, and that's the center lines now of the design itself. So from here on we will work with those. I'm just drawing my lines through. And you can see where the center line is there. So when you place your transparency back, just line up your guides with your lines that you drew. Now I'm using my magnetic hoop and I've marked my centers there as well. I'm going to place my stabilizer on top of my hoop, and as the lines shine through I can just mark them onto the stabilizer as well. I'm now going to place some magnets down just to keep the stabilizer from shifting, and I'm adding my fabric on top. This is what we call floating. You can use 505 spray if you don't have a magnetic hoop. I'm just going to mark the center points. As you get more comfortable, you will see that this won't be necessary, but for beginners I suggest mark your center points so that you can line everything up nicely. Now line up the center that you just drew on the stabilizer with the center of the design. And also use the side guidelines to line up the crosses with each other. Take your time in doing this. The more accurate you place your fabric at this stage, the better your design will line up. You can see I need to shift a little bit to the left, and I'm just making sure that it lines up. You can use rulers or whatever you find necessary for assistance in this case. For extra measure, I'm going to use a pin through the center and making sure that when I push it through, that it lines up with the center point there. And I'm now going to secure the fabric with the magnets. And I'm adding plenty of magnets to make sure that it doesn't shift while being stitched. Magnet hoops really makes this a breeze. So if you haven't invested in magnetic hoops yet, I can really encourage you to do so. It makes multiple hooping very, very easy to do. I'm just going to secure my template again, and I'm going to go to the embroidery machine now. Onto the embroidery machine. This is an industrial multi-needle, so it doesn't automatically start in the center. We have to actually move it over to there. If you have a home embroidery machine, it will start in the center, but you might still need to shift it a little bit, so just make sure that it lines up with the center of your template that you've placed. I can actually move my needle down so that I can see where it goes to make perfectly sure that I am in the center. And once you're happy, then you can remove your template and you can start stitching. Once the first design is done, you can remove it from the hoop. Flip it wrong side facing you and remove most of the stabilizer. Do not cut your fabric, so just be careful here. I'm going to hoop another piece of stabilizer, exactly the same as I did before, marking my center points onto the stabilizer. And you can draw your lines through again if you wish. I'm now going to place my fabric, but I haven't hooped it yet, so I'm just going to use my second piece of my template. So we're going to do the top section there, and I'm going to place it where I want, and I'm using the paper print for reference to see exactly where it needs to go. And again, I'm measuring from the center line of that I drew right in the beginning on the fabric and the center lines of my printed template to make sure that it's perpendicular, exactly the same as we did before. So we again start from those initial markings to place this one. After you've placed it onto the fabric where you want to stitch, you will then again, I'm just marking the lines onto my fabric there. And you can again line it up with the markings on your stabilizer. Secure with your magnets and be ready to stitch the second part. Same as before, line up your needle with the center of your template. Remove your template and you can start stitching. When this is done, you can see how perfect the alignment is. Repeat these processes until you've finished all of your templates that you've used for this design. So I'm going to remove my stabilizer. And hoop another piece of stabilizer. Mark your centers. Then take your fabric and use your template to line up the next section. So I'm looking at the picture here to make sure that I've lined it up perfectly. And then to make sure I'm straight, I'm going back to the original lines I drew and making sure the center lines of this print is perpendicular to those lines. tape down your template. Line up your centers now. You will use the centers of the template now, and line that up with the center of your backing. You can see my fabric is a little short on the left hand side, so I'm going to use some Fava Fast spray just to keep it in place there. So the left side won't be secured by magnets, but that will be fine. Back to the embroidery machine, and let's stitch the next part. You can see we've finished our whole design. We're just going to put that very last word in from creativity, and you can see the alignment is perfect with all parts, and these parts actually touch each other. So if you have a design that's just random designs that doesn't touch, that would even be perfect. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and click the little bell so you're notified when we load new designs. And thank you for watching this tutorial. We hope you enjoyed it.